West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Emporia State Federal Credit Union. Learn more at esfcu.com. Text or call the number 620-342-2336 to get started today. ESFCU is the Shovix banking of choice, federally insured by the NCUA. This episode of West War Room Rivals is brought to you by JBW Solutions Industrial Safety Services, your remote safety partner no matter where work takes you. From the job site to the office, JBW Solutions brings OSHA 10 and 30 training, plus a full lineup of compliance services straight to your screen. Whether you're a small crew or a major operation, they make safety simple, accessible, and effective. Visit jbwsolutionsllc.com to learn more today and stay compliant wherever you are. West War Room Rivals is sponsored by Field Ops. Kansas sports fields just got an upgrade with Field Ops. Looking to reserve top quality sports fields in Kansas? Whether you're organizing youth tournaments, adult leagues, or weekend pickup games, Field Ops is your go-to platform for discovering and booking the best athletic fields across the state. Instant online reservations, detailed field info such as locations, amenities, and photos. Field Ops is also trusted by coaches, organizers, and athletes. From Wichita to Overland Park, Field Ops has got you covered with real-time availability and streamlined scheduling. Get in the game at gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS. That's gofieldops.com/Kansas-KS.
And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of West War Room Rivals. Let's do a quick roll call. Let's start with Maddie.
Hey, guys. I'm Matt from Orange Crush News 365, representing the Broncos.
Cody.
What's good, everybody? It's Cody representing Raider Nation.
All right, and I am Austin, co-host, Shovix Sports, representing the Chiefs.
All right, and I'm Corey, also co-hosting Shovix Sports, and I am representing the Broncos. First, I want to give a quick shout-out to JBW Solutions, veteran-owned, community-driven, safety-focused. So let's get into it tonight. We have a very special guest with us. He is a first-team All-Pac-12 in 2003. He was drafted in the 5th round of the 2004 NFL Draft. Everyone, welcome into the War Room, Erik Coleman.
Hey,
Welcome.
What's up, guys?
Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having
Perfect.
me.
We have a nice little list of questions that we'll dive into in the first segment. We'll do it kind of in order, starting with college, going into the NFL, and then kind of life after the NFL. And then I know towards the end, we'll have you kind of give you the floor to let you kind of promote your business and kind of what you're doing right now. So let's start off with playing at Washington State. Cody, I think you have the floor.
That's right. So, Erik, thanks for joining us, man. And we kind of talked a little bit before we went live and kind of straightened out some facts of some information here. One of them being, of course, that you were born in Sacramento but didn't grow up there. So Spokane was the area that you lived in. So what was the recruiting process like that made you decide to go to Washington State for your college career?
That's a great question. Growing up in Spokane, I never I played 3 sports, right? So in the fall, I always played football. Then it was basketball season. Then I would go to baseball, and I never really considered myself the best player on my team. And it was interesting because I want to say it was around my junior year. Going into my junior year, I went to a football camp at Washington State, and one of my coaches helped me get there because I couldn't afford it. I went to the camp. I broke a rib. Ended up getting one of the MVPs of the camp, and later on that led to Washington State starting to recruit me. But when I was a junior, I started receiving recruiting letters from Pac-10 schools, Big Sky schools like Montana State, San Diego State, up and down the West Coast. Nobody really big was recruiting me on the West Coast besides the Pac-10 schools. I went on a couple visits, and I went to Oregon State. I went to Idaho. I think I went to Montana, University of Washington. And when I went to Washington State, it was just like this family atmosphere. I remember, driving from Spokane to Pullman, and it was all wheat fields the whole drive. And then you go down this hill and you see all these brick buildings, and it just kind of like, talking about it gives me like a little, gives me goosebumps because Pullman is a town of about 35,000 people and 28,000 are students. And so
Oh,
it's a really, really tight knit community. Once you're a Cougar, it really means something. And
yeah.
so I really enjoyed my 4 years there. I was glad I went there to be a part of that family. Played as a true freshman,
Okay.
which was awesome. I didn't redshirt. So I got to get thrown right into the action. And, it was a great 4 years for me.
Was there a school that you almost went to that wasn't Washington State?
Um, okay, so like when Oregon State was recruiting me,
Okay.
they wanted me to play running back. I played running back and cornerback in high school, and Oregon State that's the year where they had Chad Johnson, T.J. Hushmanzada. I think there was a guy named DeLawrence Grant. He's a big defensive end.
Yeah.
And I remember going on a trip there, and Dennis Erickson was a coach. I went on a trip there, and it was the year I think they went to the Fiesta Bowl, and I remember seeing how big their defense was.
Mm-hmm.
And before I was like, man, I'm going to go to Oregon State. It's going to be awesome. They're the same colors as my high school. It's like, it's a perfect match. And the running back was Ken Simonton, who was amazing running back. I saw the size of the defense, and I instantly said to myself, I need to play on that side of the ball. Like, I can't be getting hit by these dudes. These guys are huge. I need to be on their side of the ball attacking someone else. So that's when I decided I wanted to play defense, and Oregon State wasn't going to be the place I played defense. But when I went to Washington State, just the culture there, everyone was like, all the players were close. They would go to one guy's apartment, hang out, we'd go somewhere else, and like everybody was truly friends. And that's what really drew me there. I was going to get an opportunity to play. I thought I was playing cornerback at Washington State, but my first day at camp, it was myself, Jason David, who was a fourth-round pick, Super Bowl champ, Hamza Abdullah, who played 7 years for the Broncos and for the Cardinals, and Carl Pema, who also played for the Broncos. It was us four. That was the four guys that came in. And I remember in my first meeting, my coach looked at me and said, free safety. And I looked at him and I was like, man, I've never played safety in my life. What are you talking about? He's like, trust me, it'll be good. And he was right, because it led to 9 years in the NFL. So
yeah,
for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Talked about a stacked secondary just coming in, though, right? Like, damn, you're just name dropping right there. All right.
Yeah, and the funny thing is the guys that are older than us. So like Marcus Trufant was a year older than me. He was the number 11 pick of the NFL draft, played for the Seahawks for 10, 11 years. Lamont Thompson, who's the Pac-10, he's still the Pac-10 all-time leader in interceptions. He was the safety. And so we had some really talented players in that secondary, and I got to learn from some good guys.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we'll go a little bit of your time there. Now you said you're playing safety, but was there a receiver that you matched up on, either man on man or just remember, trying to cover deep against a receiver? Was there one receiver you remember in the Pac-10 that was just incredibly tough to go against?
Yeah, there were several. So let me think. I remember playing Oregon, and Joey Harrington was the quarterback, and they had, I want to say it was Keenan Howery and Sammy Parker. And these guys, they were two of the fastest guys I've covered, at the time in college. They were both shifty, great route runners. And then they had the quarterback to get them the ball. So they were tough. I want to say Jake Plummer was a quarterback at Arizona State, and Todd Heap was there. He was a tight end.
Yeah.
Todd Heap was a problem. Yeah. And then they had another guy named Troy Walters, I believe, who was, he's still probably the fastest guy I played against ever. And so those guys had some speed, but Bobby Wade at Arizona, USC and UCLA always had, the talented receivers from Southern California. So yeah, it was a competitive conference.
If there was ever a time where you had to come up and stack the box and stop the run, was there ever a running back that you were like, oh, man, because you were pretty good at tackling as well, but was there ever a running back like, all right, man, I got to get ready for this guy?
Oh yeah. When we played Oregon State, that was a time where I would, I'd get the extra pump in my helmet. I would strap on my pads a little extra tighter, and they would play me in the box a lot. Steven Jackson.
The
great Rams running back. And we had battles. He and I had some battles, and he was fantastic. He's about 6'3", about 240, or at least, that's what I thought he was back in college, and just athletic. So he was one of those guys who was big, but he wasn't necessarily just going to run you over. Like, he could run you over, but he could make you miss, and he could jump over you, and he could do all these different things. He's just a superior athlete, and I always had a great time. Every time we played Oregon State, I probably had 14, 15 tackles because it was going to be that kind of game. But also my junior year, we played Ohio State at the Horseshoe, my second game of that year. That's the year that we went to the Rose Bowl. I think we were top 10 in the country, but we ran into Ohio State, and that's when Maurice Claret was really there. And I think that in that game, I think I had 14 tackles. The other safety had like 13 tackles, and our middle linebacker had 1. And they were
that's a long day.
That offensive line was tearing up our they were tearing us up. They really just wore us down. Yeah, and that was when I first saw the difference between like really big time football. Like, we were still a top 10 team, but Ohio State, like, their backups were as good as our starters, and their special teams guys could have been starting anywhere, and they just had depth and so much talent. They just wore us down and ended up winning the national. I think they won the national championship, or they played Miami for the national championship that year.
I want to say they did win it that year. Yeah.
I think they did. Yeah, I think they did. What lessons did you learn in college that prepared you for the NFL?
What lessons? Well, so the Pac-10 was it was a very talented conference. So, every team that you played against, I learned to have respect for every opponent, because you would play you'd go play Arizona State, you'd play Oregon State, you'd play every team throughout our conference. There were talented guys, and so it was funny because once I got to the NFL, I think my first game was against the Bengals, and they had Chad Johnson and Peter Warrick. And Peter Warrick was a guy that I grew up watching at Florida State, and he was just like the joystick. He was amazing. And I remember covering Peter Warrick in my first game ever. And I was like, Peter Warrick, you got some routes. I was like, but I played guys that are just as good in college. So I think it really gave me a lot of confidence about my coverage skills and transferring to the next level.
So I'm going to go back real quick because you did get a chance to play in that Rose Bowl game. I think it was against Oklahoma. We won't talk about. I do want to talk about, though, like, walk us through that atmosphere of the Rose Bowl. Like, I know we were doing a little college football stadium series, and everyone was like, it's got to be the Rose Bowl #1. Now we get a chance to talk to someone who actually got to play in the Rose Bowl. Is it everything that it's made out to be?
Oh yeah, it's the granddaddy of them all. It was truly a special experience. We went down to Los Angeles, spent a couple of weeks down there practicing. We practiced at the Coliseum at USC, and that was really my first time feeling like a celebrity. I felt like it was a really big deal. Like, we went to Disneyland, or we had like different events. We had, we were going to nice restaurants, and then going to the game. We stayed at the Beverly Wilshire, like a famous hotel. The Lakers would stay there, like the Sacramento, like whoever the Lakers are playing, like Sacramento Kings stayed there. We saw a bunch of NBA guys, but going to the game, I'm used to having a police escort, on our bus on the way to the stadium. But for the Rose Bowl, we had probably about 5 motorcycles. We had the cars. We had a helicopter flying above us, and it was just like, it was the coolest thing ever. And just the atmosphere at the Rose Bowl was really special. And it was cool for me because I think 2 or 3 weeks before that, we played UCLA at the Rose Bowl to clinch our Rose Bowl berth. And so it was nice coming right back there. And, just I can still remember the smell of the grass, like, the beautiful turf.
Wow.
That field was amazing. The lights, it was really cool. It was one of those games where you knew everybody was watching. So you really tried to show out.
So one of the things, and we've been fortunate enough to have other former players on, and I'm curious to hear your draft night experience or the draft process for you. It's varied amongst everybody. Quentin Jammer was a top 5 pick, so he was able to kind of give us a rundown of like what it was like being in New York for it. So let's hear your story and what the draft process was like for you.
Mine was a little different than Quentin Jammer.
Yeah.
So, coming into the draft, I knew that I was like a mid to late round guy. And when I was drafted, there was 2 rounds. There were 2 days. So Saturday, was rounds 1 through 3, and
Yep.
Sunday was rounds 4 through 7. And I knew that I probably wasn't going to get picked on the first day, so I spent some time watching it. I wanted to see where my friends got drafted, just check out the landscape of the draft, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. When I woke up, so my mom was throwing a draft party at her house on that Sunday, and I wanted nothing to do with it. Because I was like, man, if I don't get drafted, this is gonna be embarrassing, and
Yeah.
I can't have fun at this. So I stayed at my grandmother's house, and my grandmother was out of town, and so I had the house to myself. And I remember going to sleep and being like, man, I hope I wake up to a phone call from the team. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up, no phone call. And I go downstairs and I turn on the TV, and it was round 4. So I'm watching round 4, and I'm watching it. I'm like, man, when am I going to get picked? I'm getting nervous. I'm pacing. I'm walking around. I called my agent. Like I was like getting emotional. Like, man, is this going to happen? And then I go back and sit down. I start watching it, and the round 4 ends. And as soon as round 4 ends, the draft went from ESPN to ESPN2.
Oh yeah.
And my grandmother didn't have ESPN2. And so I'm just sitting there flying blind. And like it's not like we had iPhones.
Right.
I had like this flip phone, there's no internet. Like I had no idea what was going on. So I'm just sitting there on the couch like, man, what is sitting there for like 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden my phone rings and it's this 516 area code. And I answered it, and they're like, this is, I think it was Doug Graber from the New York Jets. I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? He's like, do you want to be a Jet? And I said, hell yeah, I want to be a Jet. Are you guys paying? Like, what's up? And so I'm talking to him. He's like, okay, if the Atlanta Falcons don't draft you with this pick, we're going to draft you. And so I grabbed the house phone and I dialed my mom's number. So I had my cell phone here and I had my mom on the other line. And they made the draft pick. He's like, congratulations, you're a New York Jet. And I was like, thank you so much, sir. I'm excited. And then it was delayed on the television. And then I hear this big roar in the back on the other phone. And so I hung up with both of them, went to my mom's house. Everybody met me at my car. We cried. It was super emotional. Big celebration, had a great barbecue. And I think the next day I flew out to New York. So that was it was an amazing experience.
That is such an incredible story to share. Thank you. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious though. So after the draft, and you fly out there to New York. Now you're essentially going through mini camp. You're going through training camp. As what we're all seeing as fans on TVs, we're seeing preseason, a lot of guys fighting for their roster spot. So how did you persevere during training camp and your positional battles to basically tell the Jets, hey, you can rely on me to be on this 50-man roster? What was that experience like?
That's a great question. I always, so when I was coming up, like in high school, when I was a senior in high school, I lived with friends. My mom was away. She went to prison, and I was living with friends. And so when I got to college, I had a different mindset. I was like, I'm not here to do college. I'm here to play football, and I'm here to get my education. So I took it seriously. That's why I played as a true freshman. I took that same attitude when I got to the NFL. I got to New York, and a lot of guys had, it's all of our first time having money. We're in New York. We're in Long Island at the time. The city is like 30 minutes away. Everybody's going into the city, and I was like, nah, man, I'm gonna have fun, but I'm gonna study this playbook because I have to know what I have to know my assignments. If I don't know, I can't go. And so I spent a lot of time studying. My strength coach at the time scared the hell out of me. It was our first time in the off-season workouts. It was all the rookies, drafted and free agents. We did his workout. We did the conditioning. He brought us up outside, and he's like, hey, guys, I just want to let you guys know something. There's only one player in this group that's guaranteed a spot. And he pointed at Jonathan Vilma. He's like, this Jonathan Vilma. He's like, he's a first-round pick. They're not going to cut him.
Yeah.
He's like, the rest of you are expendable. And I'm like, damn. And then he started going through the numbers. He's like, there's only 53 roster spots. There's like 30 of you. We already got some veterans. He's like, what are you going to do to make this team? And I'm like, oh, damn. So I got nervous. We went in the locker room. I remember seeing like some of the veteran guys. They had just got done working out. And there was a bunch of linebackers in there. And I remember they were walking around. They had just got out of the shower or something. And these dudes were like huge. They had beards. They had muscles. And I was like, damn, I didn't even have a mustache. I'm like 21 years old. I'm like, when am I going to get those? Like, like when do those kick in? And so, but I do remember like studying all summer, and I came into training camp, and it was funny. I was like fourth on the roster, and literally the second day of training camp, our safety John McGraw, he pulled his calf muscle, and my defensive coordinator was like, "Coleman, get in." And I remember sitting there, and it took me a second. I'm like, "Wait, was he talking to me?" And he's like, 2-6, get in. I'm like, all right. So I run in, I get into the huddle, and I knew my stuff. Like I studied hard, and we broke that huddle. It was all the ones. It was ones versus one. We broke the huddle, and I remember in the huddle it was Chad Pennington, it was Wayne Corbett, it was Santana Moss, it was Anthony Beck, Curtis Martin was at running back, and I remember they broke the huddle and they shifted, and then they motioned. And then they snapped the ball, and my coach stopped practice. And I'm the safety, so I have to make all the checks for the linebackers in the corners. So I have to be talking the whole time, and I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there. It moved so fast, I didn't know what to say. And my coach started yelling at me, and he's like, 2-6. He's like, you got to say something. And he said, we could be all wrong, we'll be all right as long as you say something. But all these guys are waiting on you to say something, so get it out of your mouth. And so after that, I was like, okay. I can do this. So I started anticipating calls. I started learning, and I picked it up really quick. And that year was amazing. I continued to succeed. I played every snap of that season as a rookie, and ended up being a success. So I had a great group of veterans around me to help me prepare. The coaches were patient with me, and my teammates were just awesome.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
That kind of leads it in, because I was kind of looking through. You had a fantastic rookie season. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. I mean, it was a great rookie season. Immediate impact as a rookie, kind of what you were just saying right there. Getting the call due to an injury. Obviously, was there a moment you knew that you were gonna be all right as a rookie?
Yeah, so my first game we played against the Bengals, and like I told you, I was playing against Peter Ward, Chad Johnson, playing against some great players. It was, I think we were up 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. It was, I think, 6 minutes left in the game, and it was 2-minute drill. Carson Palmer was the quarterback. They're driving down the field trying to put up points, and I remember being around midfield, and I'm covering Chad Johnson in the slot, and he runs this route. He's going vertical, and I'm like, all right, he's going vertical. Time to run. So I come out of my back pedal, start sprinting. I see the quarterback, cock back and throw the ball. I'm like, okay, I can see it. I'm tracking the ball. I'm running down the field. And then all of a sudden I see this black flash go right in front of me. And it was Chad Johnson catching the ball for a touchdown. And I remember being like, oh, man, like it crushed me. It was my first game in the NFL playing at, the Meadowlands. All the New Yorkers are disappointed. I feel like the world's falling down on me. They kicked the extra point, and I'm like ready to cry. And I'm going to the sideline, and Sean Ellis and Eric Barton, they grab me. They're like, hey, Rook, this isn't going to be – that's not the last time you're going to get beat for a touchdown. Like, this is the NFL. Like, everybody gets paid. Like, this is going to happen. Get your head up. We need you for the next drive. I'm like, all right, cool. And so they just kept motivating me. The next drive we came out, now we're up a touchdown, around 2 minutes left, third down. I'm looking around the field. I'm like, who are they going to throw to? I'm like, I'm guarding Chad Johnson in the slot again. I'm like, they're definitely going to me. Chad Johnson comes up and runs a corner route. I break on it. I turn to see the ball. They throw it, intercepted it, and I got tackled. And that sealed the game, and we celebrated. We partied, and it was just like a moment where it was like I got the downs and I got the ups. I understand the ebbs and flows of the game, and I think I can compete at this. I can compete at this level. So that was my first sign that I could play in the league. And then you fast forward to the next week playing Drew Brees, and I got another interception. So that was it was a great start to my career.
Yeah, it was.
Definitely. Yeah, that was one of the things that like stood out to us. Is like you had an interception in your first 2 games in the NFL, and not only that, but like you had mentioned, you played every game as a rookie that season. But we also found out you were the only rookie to start pretty much every game that season in that draft class. What does that mean to you?
It meant a lot, especially with me being a 5th round draft pick, a late round guy. to be able to make an impact immediately was huge. You know, I wasn't a highly touted guy, but I was a guy that worked hard and did it the right way, and that meant more to me. You know, I was drafted with some dogs.
Yeah.
You know, from rest in peace, Sean Taylor. You
Yep.
know, that was a time where Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, Roethlisberger were drafted. It was a fantastic draft. Jared Allen, who just got in the Hall of Fame. A lot of great players that came out in that draft, and I'm definitely honored to be amongst the better. Larry Fitzgerald as well, but I'm honored to be a part of that group and to make such a big impact at an early stage of my career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible, and I just kind of just so far what I pieced together. You're slowly definitely becoming just like one of those like players for me, because obviously my favorite kind of player is the ones like you just said, not highly touted, not highly recruited, whatever, but the ones who put in the work. And that was your mindset when you said you got drafted. Like, no, I'm gonna put in the work because that's what you have to do. And those are my favorite kinds of players, right? Like, I'm gonna grind, I'm gonna be a dog, and that immediate impact. I mean, you get to say I intercepted, went up against Chad Johnson, got an interception. Then I turned around and Drew Brees got an interception. So that's incredible. But one of the things I want to know with your playing time in New York, a little bit about Coach Herm Edwards. What was it like playing for him? And was he always just incredibly high energy? Like, that dude just always seemed to be running off the walls. So a little bit about Coach Herm.
Yeah, Coach Herm was he's probably my favorite coach I played for. He was a guy who played the game at a high level. And what I loved about Coach Herm was that he was more interested in you being a better person than a better football player. Like, he really cared about the players. And I respected that. He wanted you to develop as a man, be a good husband, be a good father, be a good friend, and a pillar in the community. So that was it was special playing for him. He taught me a lot about the game. He's one of the one of the first premier corners in the league. And so I learned a lot from him, and he had a tough training camp, probably the toughest training camp I've ever been through. So it wasn't like, everyone says players coach. Yeah, he's a players coach, but he's also tough. He's tough as nails, and he wants the best. He wants the most out of his players. And so, I was definitely blessed to come into the league with a guy like Herm. Taught me a lot about the game, and it really helped elongate my career.
Was he always I don't know if it came later in his career, but was you play to win the game? Was that always one of his, or was that something that came on just one of those interviews he had?
It was just one of the interviews he had. Like, being in New York is tough. So, like, back in the day, and it's not like it's that long ago, but you would go, like, I'll just give you an example. Like, I went to Washington State. We went to the Rose Bowl, and in the locker room, we went to the Rose Bowl. We had probably 9 reporters, and that was like, oh man, we got like 9 reporters in there today. It's crazy. Like, we would be in OTAs and have like 50 reporters in the locker room. So it's like you constantly have to deal with the media, and every once in a while you just get like a dumb question, and someone probably asked him something like, Dan, did you guys want to win the game? And he's like, dude, why do you think we're out here playing? We're just playing just to so it was I could understand. I can sympathize with him on that one, because you could ask some stupid questions at times in New York.
Even now, we still watch sometimes when we hear a question, we're like, why are they like, how did they get in this room? Don't you have to be better than this?
Right.
So how did you get a credential?
Right. This is what's keeping you up at night.
Right.
Well, they do say there's no media like New York media. And I mean, if you're a Yankees fan, Mets fan, whatever New York fan base, they move by the pendulum. Like, it's one way or the other. It's never like meet in the middle or semi, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you would know better than all of us that 50 reporters in a training camp, and they want to know about the most outrageous things that are not even prevalent to either the game plan, what's going on. And then I'm sure you've seen headlines where it's like, what are you talking about? That's not happening.
Right. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy. And like, a lot of times when because we have media training and all that stuff, you learn that sometimes they have their story already written, and they're just looking for quotes to insert in that story. And so I'm like, dude, I'm not going along with this. You have to be prepared. Yeah, you have to be on your P's and Q's when you play in New York.
Yeah. So speaking of your time playing in New York, of course, that means you played in the AFC East, of course, where there was a now new minority owner for the Raiders, Tom Brady. What was it like to prepare for him and the New England Patriots, when you guys would have to face them during your time there?
He wasn't even that good. That's what we're going to say.
he was all right.
He's all right, yeah.
No, it was tough because with the Patriots, so typically when you're playing a team, you go and scout their previous 4 games. And that's where you get all your tendencies from, third down and, third and short, what do they do? First and 10, what do they like to do? You start to study their tendencies. And the problem with the Patriots is every week they change at the time. So instead of studying their tendencies, you had to study your tendencies because they were going to install plays that beat you the previous weeks. That was going to become their offense. And so instead of watching them, you had to watch yourself and be like, oh, remember we got beat on that long play? Get prepared for that. Remember when that run hit for, 30 yards up the middle? Get prepared for that. And you'd have to really install those plays that beat you because please believe you were going to see them when you played the Patriots. So it was always tough. They always seemed like they were not a step ahead, but everybody was on the same page. So I remember a game when there was a guy, Don Davis, who's like one of the top guys with the NFLPA now. He was a linebacker, special teams guy. They had, I think Rodney Harrison got hurt. They had Don Davis, a middle linebacker, playing safety for like 4 games. And it was fine because he understood the entire defense. And that's how they play. When you would have them on offense, they would have these great tight ends. A tight end would go down, and they would put Kevin Falk in that. He would run that route out of the backfield. Everybody knew what was going on. Troy Brown was a slot wide receiver, third down receiver. Someone got hurt at nickel. He's playing defense. The team really just did. They just did a great job of coaching. You knew that they were never going to make a mistake. They were just going to wait for you to make the mistake. So you just tried to focus on not beating yourself, and that was the only way you're going to beat the Patriots during those years.
Yeah. It's funny, we were talking about family members being fans of different teams. Well, my mom and my sister grew up Patriots fans, so they're watching the show right now. So hearing all this, and she's texting me right now, like, yes, my Patriots. So they're loving this.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say though, I did beat out of 4 years of playing them. I did beat Tom Brady once, and I got an interception that game. So
there we go.
That's all that
matters. I got him one time.
I was going to ask, did you at least get him once, just once?
Yeah,
all right.
One's all it takes, right?
That's right.
Man, so you got Drew Brees and Tom Brady in the trophy.
Yeah, I got Drew Brees twice. I got Drew Brees with the Chargers and with the Saints.
Oh, yep.
There it is.
Yeah, I had some good competition.
That's awesome.
Looking back at your career, was there a teammate that you just kind of got attached to that kind of helped influence your career?
Yeah, when I think about teammates that influenced my career, I always think about my time in New York. I had so many really good guys that took interest in me, from Curtis Martin, from Eric Barton, who was our linebacker. He was a Raider. Eric Barton to, Reggie Tongue when I was a rookie. Ray Mickens was a guy who took an interest in me. There was John Abraham. He was my locker mate. He was my locker mate with the Jets and with the Falcons, and he and I share a birthday, so we had a lot in common.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they all just taught me something different about the game, but better than that, they taught me more about how to carry myself off the field, how to handle business, how to take care of your body, how to do the things that help your career last long. So that was when I think about guys who influenced my career, I think about my time with the Jets.
Yeah, that's awesome. Incredible. We're gonna kind of reflection now, like a career reflection. So we've had a chance to talk to Quentin Jammer and Eric Warfield to give us an idea of what it was like playing defensive back in your guys' era, because obviously it's shifted, right, to how defensive backs play now. We even had Carl Pickens on, who was talked to about what it was like playing against corners and how he would love to have a free release now and what he would be able to do against corners. Walk us through what it was like for you being a defensive back and being able to be physical with these guys and not have to worry about the contacts and whatnot.
Well, I mean, you can make contact within the first 5 yards, so that was a big part of it. But I feel like being a defensive back when I played back in my day, you definitely had to be multiple. Like you couldn't just be a cover guy. You couldn't just be a guy who played the half field or played the pass well. You had to strap it up and play against the run because you were going to see Jerome Bettis. You were going to go see Corey Dillon. You were going to see these great running backs week in and week out. But not only that, Randy Moss is running right behind you. So like you had a great running back here and the fastest receiver you could get outside. So it was like you had to have good eyes. You had to play with a ton of discipline. You had to, you had to tackle. You had to be physical at the point of attack. You had to play the ball. You had to do every aspect of your game. There had to be a check mark, and that's what made it tough about our era. And I think it was a special time to play football. You're playing against Peyton Manning. You got Marvin Harris on one side, Reggie Wayne on the other, Dallas Clark in the slot at that tight end, and then Edgerrin James running the football. So, like, who are you going to lock in on, during that time? There's nobody you can focus on. And you could do that for most of those good teams that were playing then. And so you really had to know the game. You had to be a student of the game. You had to understand tendencies. You still do, obviously. But I think you had to be a better tackler. Although now tackling is a little more challenging because now you're tackling in space because the game is spread out. Now you're tackling receivers. You're tackling speed guys out in the perimeter. It was just a different way to play the game, but definitely a big challenge. I'm proud of the way we played the game. I'm proud to be a part of that era where, you had to be tough. It was only for the strong. The weak, fell to the side, and you had to be able to thrive through that era. It means a lot to be able to play 9 years through an era of all that tough time.
Yeah, I can't speak for everyone, but I can definitely say that was my favorite era, at least during my lifetime, for what you just said. Like, you had to be physical, which is going to lead me up to kind of a follow-up that I have on this one. What was your favorite thing to do? Just get that interception, or is your favorite thing to just like pop somebody in the mouth?
So interceptions are always fun.
Yeah.
It was nice to party and to celebrate with your teammates. But like I really did like it when I got that track. I put the beam on somebody and was able to run through and knock them backwards. That's what football is about for me. It's that one-on-one battle, you versus him. Who's gonna win? That was the big challenge that I loved playing against those guys. Seeing a guy come across the middle, seeing a running back, split through that gap and him pass right through the linebackers and not see me coming and just bam, there's a big explosion. Like that was what football was about for me. I love that. I love to tackle. I probably could have made more plays if I would have just went after the ball. I would have made more money. I would have got more notoriety. But just like I needed the guy in offense to fear me, to feel me, and understand that I was in the middle of that field.
Yeah, we were talking to Eric Warfield last week. He was basically what he was saying is today's NFL is fine. Like I'm glad it's safe, but it's tough because when he was trying to inflict his will on the game, it was to put a fear on the offensive side of the player to like, you better think twice about making this play because here I'm coming. And nowadays, like if you were to make a play like that, you're getting 15, maybe thrown out of the game, or that play is just not going to happen because too many things come into play to ruin it for your team and whatever opportunity you might have to stop that momentum or whatever the case may be,
Yeah. I mean, are they going to take some money out of your pocket? And that was the name of the game. I remember when the Bounty Gate came out, we were all looking around like, damn, we could have got popped for that too. Like this is just what everybody did.
Yeah.
You try to take the quarterback out. You're trying to knock dudes out on kickoff. Like it was just how you played the game.
It was football. You got me wanting to run through this damn table right now.
Yeah. So, Eric, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
My welcome to the NFL moment. Yeah, I had a couple of those. Man, I mean, there was this fullback for the Texans named Morin Norris.
Oh, okay.
You gotta look him up. This dude, he looked like a buffalo. Like he was the slowest dude I ever seen. I remember when we were down in the red zone, and we had the goal line package in, and I was the goal line corner. And so when they ran that power towards me, I had to force it. I had to kick it, make sure the run went back in. So I had to take on the fullback, make the running back go inside so the linebackers could go make the tackle. Man, this dude ran over me. He ran through. All right, yeah. Have you guys ever seen, like, when you watch the Olympics, how they run through the finish line? How there's like the track tape, and they run through the finish line, and it's like it's not even there. Like, that's how he ran when I went to go hit him and force that corner. Man, he hit me. Next thing I know, I'm on my back, and I want to say he probably stepped on my chest on the way over me. Like, it was just like, I was like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? I was like, I got to get in this weight room. I got to put on some pounds. I got to do something in the off season to where that never happens again.
Oh, man.
Snot bubbles going in my nose. It was terrible.
Thank you for sharing.
It wasn't fun.
Oh, my gosh.
I can only imagine.
I want to find that dude. I got to have a conversation with him.
Why were you so angry, sir?
Yeah, what the hell did I do to you?
And I think that's the one thing that you see all the time with the goal line packages, right? Like, nowadays they kind of still do the spread. You know, it's going to probably end up being an inside zone, or it's just kind of like a quick hitter. Not when you guys played. I mean, you literally had the I formation, goal line, big tight ends just right there.
Mano.
3 tight ends, 2 running backs. We're running it right here. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Smash mouth football.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of mentioned Chad Johnson a little bit, a few times. Was he one of your favorite ones to kind of match up with, or was there a different one in the NFL?
So when you say favorites, like, yeah, everybody wants a challenge, and you know, you definitely got that when you lined up against Chad. Steve Smith was tough as nails. He was a challenge. I would say I love being matched up against this guy, but Randy Moss, I hated it. I hated every second of it, because it was like, dude, what are you gonna do? You know, because a couple times when I played against him, one time with the Raiders, he threw up the hand, and I never ran so fast in my life. And thankfully, we got this. Tuiasosopo was the quarterback, and we sacked him, so he didn't get to throw it. Another time, he was playing for the Patriots. They ran an over route, and he caught that one for a touchdown. And then when I was with the Falcons and he was with the Patriots, they went deep. I actually knocked that one down. So I have a picture of that one. So I didn't get mossed on that one, but it was I hated guarding him because his speed was different than everybody. He can jump higher than everyone. The only person that was similar to him speed-wise, physical-wise, was Calvin Johnson, who I got to play with in Detroit, who was a freak of nature, was a hard worker, was a great player as well. So, you know, those are some of the greats I got to go play against. But I wouldn't say that I was happy about playing against him. I didn't look forward to those. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you.
You slept like a baby the night before facing Randy Moss.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, did not.
No, we like we mentioned, we had Eric Warfield on last week, and he mentioned going up against Randy Moss and some of the shit that he would talk against him, and just be like, he would look at him and just be like, "Come on, 4-4, you can't guard me. Like, what are you even doing out here?" Did he ever do any of that with you, or like?
No. So like I was, you know, I was a physical dude, but I didn't really talk. I only talk. I talked to like the tight ends, you know, the guys who thought they were tough. I would talk to them, but you know, like the guys like Chad Johnson, Steve Smith, they were big trash talkers, but they never really talked to me. They would talk to my corners, and they like he would yell at me for, you know, if we double teamed though, of like if the corner was playing underneath coverage, I was playing over the top. They'd be mad at me, like, man, let him live on his own. He's talking trash. Why don't you let him guard me? And so they would talk that, but you know, I wasn't a big trash talker, so nobody really approached me with that.
Okay. You know, it's funny you say that because we had Carl Pickens, and he kind of had the same mentality as you. Like, I wasn't going to talk to anyone, and he called it conversations, and he would always be like, you know, but if you talk to me, I was going to chirp back. So it kind of reminds me, you guys had that same mentality.
Yeah, I just wanted to fight. You know, like if you start talking to me, I'm like, dude, what's up?
That's probably why they didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah, don't talk to me. I just want to fight.
You know, we talked a little bit about, like, you know, running backs on the goal line, and you mentioned Steven Jackson, you know, him being someone hard to tackle. But was there anyone that was just, once they got in the open field, like that was just the hardest to tackle?
Yeah, there's a ton of those. So, like, I'll start with Chris Johnson with the Titans.
Oh yeah.
I mean, his speed was, oh my gosh. He like, you could have the angle on him and that would disappear so quick. He was fast as hell.
Yeah.
Darren Sproles was a
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
He was tough because you couldn't see him coming through the line. And then all of a sudden it was just like, shoom, and he's out of there. Darren Sproles. Open field. I'm trying to think of other guys. And there's a ton of them. It was like, Adrian Peterson was always tough, but
Oh yeah.
like, you knew when you tackled Adrian Peterson, he was going to try to attack you. So you had to bring your pads and understand that if you go for his knees, you're probably going to get hit. So you got to bring your shoulder pads with you when you tackle Adrian Peterson. Yeah, it was. I mean, every week it was somebody. I remember when he was unknown at the time. We played the Texans, and Arian Foster.
Oh yeah, he was a beast. Yes.
And nobody knew who he was, and all of a sudden there was this one play I was playing in the middle of the field at the Meadowlands. We were on the 50-yard line. He runs the ball up the middle. It's me and him. I'm going up to tackle him. Boom, boom, boom. He hit me with this move, and I was on the ground, and he was still running. And I've never been so relieved to see a flag thrown in my life. And they called holding, and it came back, but I still got cussed out in the meeting. I remember that one. Frank Gore. I saw Frank Gore. We played the 49ers on a Monday night, and I went up to tackle him. It was just me and him lined up. And he put a move, and I swear I tore my MCL. And I saw him a couple years ago at the Combine. I said, Frank, remember we played you Monday Night Football? You gave me one of these, and he knew exactly what play I was talking about. And that was embarrassing.
Man, this era of running backs that you're naming.
I know, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's so nostalgic.
It just keeps going. Willis McGahee.
Oh, yeah.
Man, come on, man. It was different. It was different back then.
Yeah, it's bringing me back to I don't want to say the good old days, but hell, that's what they are right now. Like, you just got me thinking about it, man.
Yeah. Every team, every week, you had somebody that was super talented. I mean, you still do. Everybody's talented. But
they're just a different level of talent, and I think a lot of finesse. But back then, like a lot of running backs were not only finesse but bulldozers. Like, they would run through you, and you had to go against a lot of them. And a lot of running backs now, like, some of them do that, but not like it was during this time, especially Adrian Peterson.
You're not seeing like a Corey Dillon right now.
No, yeah.
Corey Dillon. Oh, yeah.
What a name.
You keep dropping these names, and I'm like,
I know, we got to pick up these names real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, it was tough.
So walk us through, obviously broken coverages happen, but how did you transition to like a new team? So you're going into a new system, a new style, and you have new teammates. What are you doing to make sure that you're picking it up right away and making sure that you're not the reason that a coverage gets busted or a call gets missed?
Yeah, you have to dive in your playbook and for a long time, and it's almost like learning a different language because at the end of the day, everyone plays the same coverages. You play cover 4, cover 6, you play fire zones, you have blitzes, you have cover. Everyone plays the same stuff, but they just call it something different. And so you have to figure out what it is that they call this coverage and what is this check called. And so that's what it just takes time to adapt to the different verbiage. That was the biggest thing for me because I played in like defenses that were multiple. I played for Herm, I played for Mangini, so I played in the 4-3, I played in the 3-4. I knew how to do all the coverage schemes. It was just about learning how the nuances of the defense and did they want you to jump this route or do I have to leave that one alone in this coverage? It was the small things were what helped you when you were moving to a new team.
Before we get into our lightning round, EC, I mean, it's been great hearing these stories from you. Like the names you've been dropping, like we're kind of living vicariously through you. But what's life? Before we get into the lightning round, life after the NFL. You're an Emmy winner. You have your own business. We want to give you the floor to talk about that. Life after the NFL.
Yeah, life after the NFL it was a tough transition. You're known, your identity is Erik Coleman, the football player, for your whole life. And then it gets taken away from you and you have to adjust. You have to figure out what it is that you want to put that energy towards. And for me, it took me a while. Broadcasting has always been something I did, which I'm thankful for the opportunity to still be involved in the game. But I've tried a couple of different things. I started like a fitness company. Did that for a few years. I worked for the NFL Alumni Association. There's different things that I tried and I failed at, but and I also had a lot of successes. So now, for the last 5 years, I've been in the insurance business. I do private client. I'm a private client advisor for Hub International, a company that I met through the Jets. I was hosting an event. They insure the Jets, and it was a great fit. So I'm big in the insurance space. I love it. I love learning about how people make their money. I love helping people protect their businesses and their homes and their cars and all the things that you work hard for. That's awesome, and that's a lot of fun for me. I also get to still do broadcast. That's a passion of mine. Still being involved in the game, still being able to contribute, through the Jets, whether it's college football, NFL, and now I just started coaching. I'm the defensive back coach at St. Andrews High School in Boca Raton. So we had our first game last week. Got another one coming up on Friday, and I'm really excited about that. Helping these kids, seeing that light in these young kids. They play the game for the love of it, and it's not about paychecks. It's about dreams and wanting to be good, and it's something that's really special to me.
That's awesome. Thank you for being vulnerable, by the way, regarding that. I know that because we've talked to like Jammer, we talked to Warfield. Each person who has had to walk away from football has had to adjust to it in their own time and in their own way. And, every person who had that experience that we'll never experience, but you guys do, it's your own journey. But what advice would you give to a player that is similar to what you had to do, which is you feel like it was taken away, you struggled with it? What advice would you give that player that needs to, I don't know if the term free themselves from it is the right term, but what advice would you give a player who's struggling with what you were struggling with about walking away from football?
I think the first thing is you have to get rid of your ego and understand that you were the best in the world at something. You were the best in the world at playing football, and you didn't become the best in the world at playing football overnight. It took you years of working hard, studying, preparing your body, mentally preparing, taking care of yourself, sacrificing. It took you years to become the best at that. That's no different in life. Like whatever it is that you put your energy towards, you have got to be stubborn about it. You've got to be diligent about it. You got to, be obsessed with it to become great at it. So you're going to have to find something else to be great at. The ego thing, it doesn't work. Nobody cares about your ego. Nobody cares about what you did. Everybody wants, people like doing business. People like helping out people who are good people. So be a good person, be good to people, and they'll treat you right. I do try to talk to the younger players that are still playing and tell them, take advantage of the spotlight that you have. You're an NFL player right now. There's people who are in business who are paying big bucks to come see you play.
Yeah.
Talk to them about what they do. Find out how they made their money. What were the things that they did to make them successful off the field? Do an internship in the off season. Take interest in someone else's craft, and I think that goes a long way.
That's amazing advice for players that will have to make those decisions when it's time for them to walk away from football. What do you miss most about playing football?
What I miss most is my teammates. I miss the locker room. I miss working out together. I miss, going to grab drinks after practice and, watching film. That camaraderie is something that can't be replaced. You're playing football, you're playing a game with a bunch of guys who understand your struggles. You go to the average person and you're like, man, I'm having a tough day today. This is going wrong. Everybody else is like, man, I would kill to be there. But your teammates, they understand where you're coming from, and they you don't feel like a jerk, complaining to somebody. That's what I miss. I miss my teammates. When I go to games and I watch the games, it's fun. I don't miss that contact. I don't miss the violence. It was great, but it's a young man's game. They can have that. I appreciate it. I love it, but I really do just miss the camaraderie of my teammates.
Yeah, I bet those relationships are hard to like walk away from because they're so familiar.
Yeah.
You have a bad Sunday and you have teammates to pick you up or at least like vent to.
Mhm.
Outside of that, it's kind of hard for other people to kind of, understand that for sure.
And I definitely understand it. Me being in the Navy as well. My dad was also, he's retired Navy. And one of the things like our buddies always talk about when they get out is that camaraderie. Like there's nothing like it. Like you have to experience it. So
yeah,
I definitely feel where you're coming from.
yeah. Thank you for your service and your dad as well. But it's like you do so much together. You put in so much work, and you just create a different bond that's different than you would make anywhere else.
Mhm.
It's a special camaraderie.
Absolutely.
So let's start with our lightning round. This is kind of just some fun questions, just to kind of as we're wrapping this up. So I do want to know, what's the louder rivalry, the Apple Cup or the Jets and Patriots?
I would say the Apple Cup is a louder rivalry. The Battle of Washington State, Eastern Washington versus Western Washington. That was an epic rivalry. With the Patriots and the Jets, it's different because the Patriots were dominant for so long that it almost like for a long time it just wasn't a rivalry. Like no one cared
Mhm.
because you knew the Patriots was going to roll through everybody. But that Apple Cup was something special about it. And then college football. College football is different than the NFL. There's such a passion for the game. It's almost like a different sport. So I would definitely say the Apple Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so the next one that we kind of like to ask our guests, because this is kind of one of our favorite things to learn about you guys. When people hear the name Erik Coleman, what do you hope they remember you by?
I hope they remember me as being a man of integrity, a leader, a good friend, a loyal person, and a hard worker. I take pride in the grind that I put into everything I do. I've never been the biggest, strongest, or fastest. I always, pride myself in being one of the hardest workers and just always hustling. So that's how I hope people remember me.
Love that. Absolutely. That's my takeaway from this. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I do want to point something out real quick. This is our mom. She had a comment. She says you'd be a great motivational speaker. So, yeah. So
thank you.
I thought she would get a kick out of seeing that. So, Matt, I think it's you, buddy.
Yep, and I think this is going to be the last question for the lightning round. But who's one receiver in today's game that you wish you could match up against, and who's a quarterback you wish you could have picked off in today's game?
All right, so a receiver that I wish I could have matched up against. I mean, that's a tough question because I don't want no smoke with these receivers. I mean, like
not with these rules, at least.
Yeah, it's not. It's really not fun. Like when you're playing against, like I imagine the first couple receivers that came to my head were like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I think of these guys, I'm like, yeah, that'd be awesome to like say that I matched up against them, but it would not be fun covering them. And then the quarterback, a quarterback that I would like to pick off, definitely Patrick Mahomes. My son loves Patrick Mahomes. My son loves him. Like, I got a picture with him. He's a great guy. But just to shut my son up, I would like to.
That's right.
That's that tough love right there.
Yeah, let these kids know. That's right.
Yeah.
And so first off, Erik, again, we want to thank you for joining us tonight. An hour of your time with people that you didn't have to do this for. So on behalf of all of us, we're truly thankful for you coming on here, and we'd love to have you back on at some point again when your football season's obviously winding down and you get a little bit more free time. So do you have anything else before we let you go?
No, I really appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work. I love to see what you're doing. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the show. So keep it up and give me a shout. I'll be back anytime.
I'm just gonna say right now, Erik, that just made my night. The fact that you
Absolutely
had a great time and you said such wonderful things, that meant a lot to me. This kid right here from California. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, brother.
Yeah. I would say from a dude who loves defense and will always make sure defense gets love because everyone likes offense. Absolute honor to hear such a great defensive player say that about us. So truly an honor. Thank you.
A lot.
Yeah,
all right.
And Oh, sorry. I was just gonna thank him as well. And, again, thanks for taking the chance. Reaching out or reaching back out to me, and taking the chance on us. I mean, that from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that. Really means a lot to us.
It's all love, man. Keep it up.
Great luck on the football season, man.
Yeah, good luck.
Real.
Thank you, guys.
Go St. Andrews. Is that right?
Yeah, saying that. The Scots.
The Scots. There we go.
The Scots.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Take care.
My pleasure.
Man, what a dude. So amazing.
God, dude. That was awesome.
I'm not kidding. There was 37 different times in that show. I wanted to flip this table and just go.
Yeah. Shout out to Meg. Thanks for watching. I thought it was a great show too. We appreciate you. And then Mama Shovik. Erik was a very likable guy. He absolutely was.
Your grandson says hi, Mama Shovik.
Yes.
He would love to have grandkids. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom. You know what the corgis are going to have to do.
Yeah. I mean, but again, I kind of wanted to point this out is this two guests that we've had on that aren't AFC West affiliated, and again, they've been absolute home runs as far as Carl being on here a couple weeks ago, and now Erik Coleman tonight. I think we don't always have to have the AFC West guys on, and I think we're starting to understand that while we are AFC West centric, these guests are going to continue to come on here, and AFC West affiliated or not, and they're going to continue to just absolutely blow us away.
Yeah, I think the main point we have these guests on here is because we want to see how these people are as people, as human beings. The stories are great. Obviously, we love hearing those. But at the end of the day, we just want to hear some of these former players, hear their stories, and then just get a sense of who they are as people. And again, as a person, Erik Coleman, just another stand-up, absolute, as he put it, grinder.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love that. So yeah, it's not just going to be AFC West people. We're going to have just anyone who's willing to share their story and let us see a little bit of their football side, but also who they are as people. Because to be honest, man, this is a blast, guys.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about doing this, and my phone's going off right now about what a genuine guy Erik was, but one of my favorite things is when they start talking about the old days and they start talking about their college and their NFL career, and their face just lights up when they share that memory. It's that's what I love seeing. That's the real reward, not having the player on, but having the person on share that experience and just light up about it. That's my favorite part about doing all of this.
Yeah. Another former player that we get to know beyond when he puts on a helmet. And granted, the stories that he told about all the former players that he went against that we knew growing up were just gold for sure. Just awesome. But also too, him as a person, just dynamite. And again, all these guests are just home runs after home runs after home runs. And they're just super genuine, great people. And I think what's awesome, and kind of like what Matt said, and, again, what Austin iterated, we're getting to know them on another level beyond football is more of a treat than hearing the football stories, it feels like. And, the fact that he had a good time, respects it. I love it. So encouraging that he was like, oh yeah, honor to be here. I'm sorry. It's an honor for you to be here, sir. No. It's an honor for us to talk to you,
Right?
I was like, I don't know St. Andrews Scots at all, but I'm a fan of their football.
I'm a fan
team.
now.
Yeah. I'm going to follow them now. I'm going to answer that call. But, I just, the fact, I have to thank him because, again, just me, little old me with I think at the time I reached out to him, I hadn't hit 1,000 followers yet. And when I reached out to him and he responded back to me, not only that, he followed me back. So, I mean, that means the world to me.
Solid.
It's almost time to start doing this full time almost. I mean, I don't know. It's just getting to a point now where I could just sit here and talk to former NFL players literally every day. I mean, especially with the lineups we continuously seem to kind of figure out. So,
hey, sponsors, just start, we'd love to work with you guys to make it all happen. So
well, my brother just said, with the guests we've had, we've had Carl Pickens actually reach back out to us to come on the show again with some of his ideas. And, we were able to get him in a week from this Friday. So that's just proof that we're having a blast. They're having a blast. and we're going to continue having a blast.
With Carl Pickens' rundown. He is making a rundown.
Carl Pickens.
Absolutely.
He wants to come on with his own rundown and talk about things that he came up with.
Let's go. What a life, guys. What a life.
What a time to be alive.
Now, if we could just get that early 2000s football back on the field, right? Oh.
We probably won't, but the fact that we're getting these stories is pretty awesome. Yeah.
To keep the memory of it alive. Yep.
I love that we're knocking out a lot of defensive guys, though. Let's keep that
I know.
up.
We're on a defensive runner right now.
Yeah, I guess we got A.J. Johnson rescheduled for Friday, so another linebacker. Let's go.
Well, yeah.
I tell you, before the end of the month, I'm going to end up running through one of my walls.
A little bit of Bills Mafia and the Williams household just jumped through the table.
There you go. We do have our another content creator tomorrow, Goat209, Josh. He does a lot of Raider stuff. I'm going to make sure we get confirmation from him. It's not going to be one of our typical shows tomorrow, and I think that's what I'm most excited about. You know, with the players, we're trying to get to know them and their story and their journey. Tomorrow, we're not doing any of that. We're literally going to talk preseason, 53-man rosters, outlooks of the season, and we're really going to start diving in. We are another day closer to, you know, the Eagles, Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, and then just a weekend of just pure joy, honestly. So anybody have anything else as we kind of get ready to wrap up here?
Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, y'all. If you guys aren't subscribed, go do it right now so that way you guys get notified whenever we have a new episode come out. Follow us on socials. We are so active on there. Please go. Austin does these fire graphics. Matt does these great player profiles. Everybody, we need you guys to go follow the War Room channels for sure.
Yeah, and interact with us. You have questions, an idea, something you want us to throw out there, we're responsive. Like, one of us will respond rather quick, so we're here for you guys. We're doing this for us and you guys. We want you to enjoy it, and we want you to be able to feel like you're also getting to know these people. So ask questions, give feedback, anything you want to know, just let us know. We're here for you.
And that could be on the War Room channel or our personal Instagrams as well. We're, like Austin said, we're really responsive. So,
Maddie, give a shout out to the first big sponsor.
Again, thank you, JBW Solutions, who is super ecstatic right now. I keep getting messages from him. He's super happy. He was thanked for his service by the one and only Erik Coleman. But you know,
really, thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, JBW Solutions, for your sponsorship in this episode.
And then thanks Angie and her team at Emporia State Federal Credit Union, the Shovix Banking of Choice, that is federally insured by the NCUA and
Field Ops of Kansas. Troy Vanacher and his team do great work. It's a veteran-owned business. Make sure you check them out for anything you want, field-related. Call them up. Their stuff's at the bottom. There'll be contact information. They'll be there for you.
Cody, Spy.
Don't forget Spy Opt, guys. Use Orange 20 to get 20% off your shades. I have mine in my front room. That's where I put all my keys and stuff, because if I don't, my wife hits me. She doesn't really, but if you're married, you're understanding that. But anyways, go get a great pair of shades. Orange 20, get 20% off your purchase. Phenomenal shades. If anything, in my personal opinion, I've owned Ray-Bans, I've owned Oakleys, I've owned a bunch of stuff. These are by far my favorite sunglasses that I've ever owned, and I use them literally when I go outside to go water. I'm wearing them even if it's dusk, just so I can put on my sunglasses, because they're my favorite. So,
hey, Matt, make sure to ask Spy for us.
I will make sure. I got you, Meg.
Oh yeah, we got.
And they did custom lenses for us, so I'll see if we can get you some Falcons.
Oh,
some Falcons colors. So,
and don't forget Orange 20
Orange
if you go to check
Orange 20. Yep,
to get 20% off.
Well, I'd love to say that the week's winding down for us, but it's not.
No.
Now that we have tomorrow, and then of course Friday now with Alexander Johnson joining us, and then another beautiful lineup for next week. So, from all of us here at the West War Room Rivals, again, thank you to Erik Coleman for joining us tonight. And everyone, we will see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Don't forget.